I haven't slept properly for the last 4 nights. And it was only yesterday that I talked it through with Lucy and finally realised why that was. And it turns out I'd fallen into the trap that I've actually seen so many other companies and people do in my time whilst I advised companies in my previous role. And that is getting into thinking that you are special in terms of a business, thinking that you're special and that other people care about it, and delving into trying to create like your product. And in my case, it was a website. So for the last 4 days, I've been trying to spin up a website for this brand new product that we're bringing to market. I can't share it yet. We will share it in the future episodes. It's really, really exciting. But I've been trying to work on the website, and as I'm putting it together, I'm doing it myself. I'm putting it together on Wix, so quite an easy tool to get a website off the ground on your own without needing, designers and developers as resource. And I was focusing on things like the product page, and I was trying to put together what's great about this product. How do we really make this product look sexy, and how to articulate just why this product's better. And as I said, it was only when we started talking about it with Lucy that we realized and we remembered and we talked through that essentially it's important to remember, no one cares about that. And what I mean is, I may think that by talking about the features of the product, that this does this faster, better, cleaner, whatever it is, that people actually care about that. But what we got to the essence of, and the thing that is important to remember, is what is the why? What is the real brand essence? What is the values behind the brand that really tie, I think, emotions to the brand, which completely throw all of the other things out of the water. It doesn't matter if it's just an incrementally better product. It could be a completely revolutionizing product if you get the why right. The why should people care? And we wanted to just share that and then talk through kind of how we're now thinking about that. I guess. So I mean, what's your take? You were the one that kind of really highlighted that, so I do appreciate it because it was going around in my mind. And what I realized actually is that was the reason why I wasn't sleeping, because I was trying to tackle a problem in completely the wrong way. Yeah. And so it just didn't add up in my mind. I could not get to the answer of what seemed like a very simple question, and it was just looking at the UX of the website. How does this website fit together? And I just couldn't get there. But absolutely, it was because I wasn't tackling the big question. It's almost like the elephant in the room.
Yeah, you hadn't. I guess it's like laying down the foundations of your brand, why people would care, before focusing on the logistics and the commercials of it. You need to understand that bit first of all. It was actually looking at the mission page on the website, and you kept saying, it just looks like shit. And I said, well, it's because you haven't worked out what the mission is.
Yeah.
No one cares. You're just exactly the same as everybody else. And if you're focusing on the features of your product, I'm jumping straight onto Amazon and finding the cheapest because you're the same as everybody else. So what is the reason why you're special? And understanding that the reason why people will buy from you is because they've come across you and they love your story, they love the purpose and the reason behind it, and that needs to be really, really sticky and interesting and relevant and tangible for that person to go, fuck me, I want to be part of that.
Yeah, it is the story, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So after a few stern words and breaking Ross's defensiveness down.
I was quite open to change. It's a hard thing though. I love the saying, easy questions, hard life. Hard questions, easy life. I love that because this is a classic example of answering the difficult questions, and they are not easy to answer.
Yeah, it's easy to drop a load of features on a website.
Yeah, and I can tell you, in that moment when Lucy's kind of tearing down everything that I've done and saying, you haven't even got your mission as to why you're even doing this, that's a difficult question to tackle. And I've posed that question and seen that posed to many of the companies when I've previously worked with them who want to jump in and create a website or jump in and create an app, and they haven't quite thought through, why are they even different? But it is difficult in that moment in time. So.
Yeah, and it's easy to forget. And it's easy to get caught up in the own magic and the own excitement of what you're trying to produce.
Yeah. And as a comparable, you can compare it to it like a CV. So many people on their CVs will put things like, I'm motivated, I'm driven to be better. And as they're writing that, they think that is standing them ahead of the rest because they're saying, I'm passionate and I'm driven. But actually, if you take a step back and look at it, everyone puts that. And so there's like a consistent standard of, rubbish business talk there that nothing cuts through. And it's because they haven't really tackled the difficult question about why they're different. Why are they the right candidate? They're just almost resulting to the easy. They're taking the easy way out. It's quite lazy thinking, really.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's exactly the same by focusing on, if you're launching a product, focusing on the features of the product as opposed to like the deep core values and the why that sits behind why should someone buy your product? What makes you different? So
what activities and actions have you taken since to help you define what your why is?
Taking your advice, you'd probably be better to speak about it, but it's just research initially. Really understand all of the different and kind of dig into all of the potential areas. It may be that you're launching something and you're struggling to think of what makes you different. And that is the key, isn't it? What makes you different? It's like business essential. If you're launching anything where you want to stand out on anything, it's at the essence of it, what makes you different from the competition. But there's so many examples where the people who have actually got that right and really got it right, and they can tell that story succinctly and understand why they're different, they suddenly then don't worry about the kind of incremental challenges of finding business. It kind of comes to them, doesn't it? When you get that right, when you really understand that story, business comes to you. And so for me, like right at the start of that journey, it was, we're in a phase right now of just research, just looking into the whole industry, looking into the competitors, looking into the trends, what's happening at the moment, what are people talking about, and we're doing that in an act to just sort of dig deeper and deeper into potential areas that sort of surface. That could be potential. We know the motive behind the sort of broad motive behind bringing out the product.
We know the solution.
Yeah, we're passionate about that, but it's finding a narrative that fits that, and really pinpointing from a broad notion, a broad story, down to something that's really, really, niche. Specific and niche and really resonates with people. Yeah.
And I guess yesterday, one of the kind of like poignant points that stick in my mind is, you were saying, well, I need to write these things on the website. And we kind of got to the point where we'd said that the tribe of people that we believe will be buying the product, they don't care about the product itself. They care about the reason and the motive and the company behind it. So what is that motive going to be that's going to inspire this particular group of people? So with a vague understanding of who you're going to be trying to engage with and what their motivations are and what their passions are, you can then start just typing into Google questions that might pop into that person's mind, your buyer's mind, things that they care about, things that they're annoyed about, or they feel that they can change or support, particularly if your company is going to be for social good. You know, for me, I'm thinking about Teta, and it has been a phenomenal success. It's a socially good fashion brand. We have 50 girls on one side of the company that are in this community where they are crafting and making, at the moment, tassels. And we use some of those which are attached onto the products which we sell. We're looking to bring new products to market, and I've had to put everything as sold out on the website, because every time I put anything on our social feeds, we get these sales, and we're just trying to manufacture our products at the moment, so we're trying to slow down the sales. That started with the reason, that started with the problem and the answer, and then we built on that. So in Ross's new project, I think we've got the problem. Now we need to find the hook of the kind of one of the solutions to the problem.
Yeah.
And then build the product around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we just wanted to share that with you. I think is a thought-provoking question to ask yourself if you're in this scenario of bringing something out or have a business and you're trying to find out why you're different. Is to absolutely not do the lazy way of thinking, which is to dig into the incremental benefits and features in comparison. Because I think also there's research that I've read that's been published that in order for someone to make a change, it cannot be if they're going from an existing product to whatever you're offering. It can't be an incremental change, because the sort of time and the energy that it takes to make that change for someone is too much for just an incremental benefit. It needs to be substantially better, or there needs to be emotion behind it that really drives someone to actually switch to you. Mm-hmm. So I think ask yourself that question if you're in this situation. What is your point of difference? What is your why?
Why are people going to fall head over heels in love with you?
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough getting people to like your Instagram page, click on a link to go to your website, let alone buying your product.
Yeah.
So you need to have a real good reason why people are gonna buy from you.
And tell the story. When you get that story, tell that story.
Yeah.
People buy stories.
Yeah.
Like everything is a story. And so the ability, and everyone in your organization should be able to succinctly tell that story of what it is, who you are, and why they should buy from you. You need to find that story and focus on that difficult question of what makes you different, what is your why. As well as our podcasts, you can also hear from our short email, The Design Drop. Every Friday, you'll get an email with interesting resources, things that we've been pondering, things that have helped us that week, such as book recommendations, online tools, and gadgets. It's a quick, easy, light-hearted email to round off your week. If you're interested, head over to lifedesigndiaries.com to sign up.
We've just had support from one of the UK's biggest beauty brands for one of our companies. And that came about because of a bit of sales and networking hustle. And it got us thinking about the life lessons that we've been taught from our previous roles. And we wanted to share those with you. Basically around how everybody is a salesperson and how if you don't ask, then you don't get.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the subject of sales in general, which I think a lot of people see as very negative. Like to be a salesman or a saleswoman, people see that as quite like a negative thing. It's just got such a negative connotation with it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
To sell something. But actually, selling in itself doesn't have to be like the spam phone call that you get trying to sell you some insurance or something. You know, it's not like that at all. In fact, it's in everyday life, in everything we do. So on that example then, Luce, you said you've got, so for any startup, getting like backing from a big company like that to support is huge. It's like a massive leap forward. So how did you even go about getting that?
So because we're shiny and new, we wanted to be associated with a company that was quite sexy, because it always helps with your perception. So that's kind of the thinking behind it. It's part of the company that needs a kind of a charity, social good side. So that's the reason why we approach some really big companies. Not really expecting to have much back because we are so small. So basically, I ring-fenced a couple of companies that I really, really like the look of, and got thinking about what motivations they would have to back us as a startup. And by back us, I mean support us in a way of giving us a discount, giving us some of their products, or being associated, with us from a social media point of view. Being able to talk about it and that kind of thing. Please ignore the plane. So first of all, did my research, looked at who my target audience is and what they would be interested in, and then went after those companies that I thought would be really cool to be associated with. So by going after, I mean getting onto LinkedIn, getting onto Twitter, looking at my immediate network, all of those people that I've worked with before in previous companies, to see who I knew that might know someone to get me in there.
Yeah.
So trying to really connect up the dots within your network. And I think that everybody forgets just how many people they know that know someone. If you've worked in a couple of different places as well, for sure, there are so many people that can get you in front of other people. Because at the end of the day, everybody, whether they're a CEO of Facebook, it's just a person.
Yeah.
It's so easy to forget that.
We've all heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Who you know, yeah, definitely.
And I definitely think that's not fully true, but that definitely holds some relevance, doesn't it?
I definitely think it's true when looking at opportunities and getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
If you know someone, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to use that.
Yeah, definitely. Don't be afraid to ask. So first of all, looked out into my network to see who I knew. And then the other crucial part is getting in front of that person with kind of like my sales pitch, which had nothing at all to do with me or my business. It was to do with them and their business and their target audience. And I was conscious to make sure that who I was marketing to was similar to their marketing, who they were marketing to. So fashion, cute, nice brand for me. Makeup company, again, it's going to be a similar target audience.
Yeah.
Similar age, similar wants, similar needs, similar interests.
That's so easy to forget, though, when you're reaching out to someone, to think that it's about what you're looking to get from the transaction or the interaction, as opposed to positioning it to them as though what you want them to get out of it, what they can actually, how it can benefit them, because it's a completely different message when they get that.
Yeah, and it's been really funny. I can't remember who told me. It might have been like on some training or something, or maybe just through all of the hundreds of cold call emails I've sent in my time. But starting your email with, I would like to speak to you about or I have a proposition for you, or I would like to introduce you to those sorts of words are just bollocks. Sorry, excuse my French. Because I'm opening up an email, and it's been quite funny to receive some messages and stuff from people that have listened to our podcast that are interested in some of the things that we've spoken about. And they email or send a Facebook message or whatever, which is amazing. But it always starts with, I want to know about X, or, it's always about take, not give. When we've reached out to people on the podcast, it's like, we want to find some mutual benefit here. And that's what you should always consider when you're thinking about approaching people. So, and
by the sounds of it, from a practical perspective, quickly, if you're going with email or a LinkedIn message, because you've literally got like
seconds.
that first line or something.
Yeah, the subject line needs to be
Yeah,
pretty good.
It's really, really important.
So I found a couple of companies. I've got a couple of names by using LinkedIn to target the right person. So it might be like, for me, it was a sales director or a marketing director. And then you can cleverly using Google. Well, I say cleverly, it's not clever, it's very basic. Just do a couple of smart searches on Google to try and find your email, the right, whether it's lucy.mangini@sixstories.com or Lucy M or whatever. You can generally find someone's email address or the format where you can just swap in the names with the name that you're trying to gather.
And I think the important thing there to note is that you mentioned everyone that works in any role is still a human at the end of the day. And I think if you want to get in front of someone, it's important to try and get in front of that person, because like we all know the saying that people buy from people, and that you can sometimes feel like if you want to approach a big company, say you want a big company to do something for you or join you in something, your initial point of call could be to look at their website and then send an email to like the info @ but that's like gonna hit the wrong person with the wrong message. And so by digging a little bit deeper and actually thinking about who is, because there's always a person, an actual person in that role that you can target. And if you get them with the right message and you get to that exact person, your chances of success of them being interested are way, way, way higher than if you send to the info @ who then hopefully is going to send it on to the right person, and then the message might be skewed. Yeah,
definitely. I think you should always consider who you're speaking to. You can always do a little bit of healthy stalking. If you're looking at the business's social channels and you can see that they've done X, Y, Z, drop that in there. Or if the person that you're targeting is quite a character on Twitter, have a little look about what they're chatting about, or give them a follow. Start building some common ground with that person. So once you've got your really succinct message, which is all about the person that you're trying to approach, you've got the right people, so you're getting into the right place. You're not wasting any time. You're just cutting the crap and getting to the point with the right person. I also think it's very important to think about situation. So when is that email going to drop in that person's inbox? So don't ever send it at 4:00 on a Friday. Maybe that is a good time because people are quite chilled. But you don't want to be at the bottom of someone's inbox on a Monday morning.
So when's a good time?
I always think around 7-8 o'clock in the morning. Get your email in front of that person, so you're sat at the top of their inbox when they first sit down, and then they can kind of have the day to mull it over in their mind, or try and be quite timely. It's going to be dependent on what you're saying.
Have you ever done Sundays?
I don't know.
I only say that because I've read recently about. There's loads of different perspectives upon when the best time is, and I think the ultimate answer is to try a few and see what results you get. But I'm quite interested with Sundays, just because I've never done Sundays. It doesn't mean you have to work Sunday. You can schedule it to be sent on Sunday using different tools. But no one gets emails on Sundays. So it's like the first one they see if they want to check, or they come in on Monday.
When I worked at my previous company, the guys worked all hours of the day, 7 days a week, and they always would send emails at 3 a.m. in the morning and stuff. And although they saw it as I'm working really hard for my clients and yada yada, I see it as quite unprofessional. And if you're working on a Sunday, then you haven't really got respect for me as a person, because if you're sending me an email on my personal value is that I don't think that sending at the weekend is a good, but I know that there's an argument for, and other people that will work at the weekend. But anyway,
whatever works for you.
Yeah, exactly. So and
let's be clear, this what we're talking about here, sales, is not just about if you've got a product to sell or you're looking for a partnership. This is like
if
everything.
You want a new job.
Exactly. If you want a new job, the exact same thing applies. Rather than just going the traditional way of looking on the website, seeing if there's a job listing and applying, well, how about you break the rules a little bit? How about you find out who's interviewing, what they like, and you find a way to get in front of them personally on a one-to-one level through an email, LinkedIn, or you can even call them if you want to go that far, and give them a real message about what, why you'd be good for the role and what would benefit them. It's just got so much more chance, hasn't it, than just being considered with the rest. It's trying to cut through that.
Yeah, I definitely think that works massively in like your social marketing digital industries. A little bit more difficult when you're up in a corporate role, but I think that you can definitely use these skills to better arm yourself in your interviews and speaking to the right people to make sure that the job is right for you. You can qualify your potential colleagues. I've done that before.
Yeah.
So getting in front of the right person with the right message, using different ways. I mean, honestly, DMing people on Twitter is one of the best ways, I reckon, that you can get in front of people, whether you're going to a conference or you're trying to get a press release out. There's so many different ways that you can actually reach that person. It's quite scary how people can definitely infiltrate your life through various inboxes that you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and being confident with it, you are going to want to know about my message.
Yeah, and also, as you said before, it's to not underestimate the power of your existing network. One thing that's worked really, really well for me in a sales role, but also just generally, is asking people who else they know or who's the right person to talk to, and just kind of using the people to refer you on to other people. And funnily enough, this exact scenario that we're talking about that secured Lucy's, big company to help, part of that was through my old network. So Lucy's prospecting this company. That's kind of where it starts with. And the next question is, who's the right people? And I said, actually, I've noticed on my LinkedIn that someone that held a head of marketing at a different company has now moved there. So how about I'll email them and ask them for an intro to the right person? And it just kind of spider webs from there, really. And a combination of Lucy's emails to who she thought was the right person with mine to what I thought was the right person, referred us on to the actual right person. And then before you know it, the conversation gets going. So at no point did I think in my previous role when I was talking to that person, working for a different company about a completely different company, did I ever think that this situation would come about? But you just never know. So it's important to grow that network wherever you can,
put the feelers
and
out.
be nice, and as basic as leave a good lasting impression with people, because you just don't know when someone completely random from years ago is going to come back into your life, and you might actually need them for something.
Yeah. And I think kind of a final point is hold that confidence and conviction kind of no matter how far along you get. In the early days, I know I was certainly reluctant to bother people. But if you genuinely believe that you have something that's going to add value to that company or that individual, then press send.
Yeah, what you mean? Don't get nervous about sending it.
Yeah, don't get nervous. Don't be reluctant. Be confident and go with it. Believe in back yourself to speak to that person.
Yeah, and if you're completely new in this, if this is very, very foreign about actually going out and looking for business or connections or something, I would say just get into it. Just practice a few times.
Yeah.
But your message's not going to be right at the start.
Yeah, definitely. And ask around for help. I remember when very early on in my career, I've spoken about how dyslexic I am. I really wanted a new job, and I asked one of my best mates, can you just proofread this for me? Because she is fantastic. And she did that, and then I managed to get an interview with that person because I think I was confident and I had the conviction and I had the will and the message. But I know that if I had sent the email that I'd originally penned, I probably would have been binned off. But not being afraid to ask for help, I think, is a really, really important message. And you just never know what's gonna happen. I think that's one of the most exciting things about
just need to put yourself out there, don't
understanding that sales isn't about selling PPI, it's about selling yourself.
Yeah, and it absolutely doesn't have to be a negative thing at all. It's just about getting in front of people and putting yourself out there. Just before you head off, as well as our podcast, you can also hear from our short email, The Design Drop. Every Friday, you'll get an email with interesting resources, things that we've been pondering, things that have helped us that week, such as book recommendations, online tools, and gadgets. It's a quick, easy, light-hearted email to round off your week. If you're interested, head over to lifedesigndiaries.com to sign up.